enough agendas to go around? Did we get one?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I think you did. You got one? Anyone else need one? I can make copies of another one. That's good. The rest of it moves in, I'll need this.
Oh,
for,
yeah. But just make a copy.
So this is
Well,
what
only somebody else comes in, I won't have to make it.
Oh.
not
Do you want one
this
to
is,
do?
Yeah.
she did this.
Why don't you just follow along?
So this is the one she put
I don't know how
on
to
the
say
Thursday.
anything.
Thursday. So that the one goes. Which is now later. And it goes in front of that. So is that okay? Is that good?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't have time to change. Horses are priority.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Stand for pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Sim?
Here.
Ms. Mears?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Rhonda, I'm present.
Okay. Just a couple things. We, been a lot of question as to what, I think probably a lot of people seen, heard the news. It was on the news, the police chief, our acting chief had an accident. A lot of questions as to why. We had a cruiser down in Dayton, and the reason about that is we had an individual out here, I guess, that was threatening their life or family's life, so they weren't really wanting to go to the hospital, but thanks to our chief, he was able to encourage them to go and seek help. And he took them to the hospital, and on his return back, he was listening to the radio and, heard a call that there was a burglary out this way. And actually they were, I think, had left the scene and were on 3rd Street heading east into Dayton, which is, he was coming west. So he put on lights and sirens and started this way, and that's when the collision occurred. Now, I think that's I don't know what I want to say, a lesson to everybody, really. When you hear sirens and see them lights, it's important that everybody pull over. I mean, and let that happen, because, there was injuries sustained in the whole situation with him and the other individual. And after I heard about it, I went down to the scene that night. Rhonda as well, and we took insurance information, anything they would need down there, and proceeded from there to the hospital to check on Chief Littleton, see how he was. Amazingly, he was laying in the bed with an ice pack on his head and on the phone dealing with some things. So the man's pretty incredible, in my opinion. So that's just, like I said, that was one thing I wanted to just kind of update on that's been the big question, is why our cruiser was invaded. Another thing, the trustees, all three trustees, we attended the Township Association Christmas party last week. And Rhonda was planning as well, but she became ill that night, wasn't able to attend. And that turned out to be a real nice evening. All the townships go around and tell, what they're doing, and as well as the sheriff's department was there, the county engineer's office was there. Trying to think, am I missing anybody else? I'm sure. Oh, prosecutor's office was there. And kind of amazing how many townships, that's another thing we've heard about, how much we relied on the sheriff's department out here, but the other townships were all talking about how much they rely on the sheriff's department as well. So I don't think it's necessarily we rely on the sheriff's department. I think we all do. It was mentioned that night that, all the townships working together, we're like cogs in or sprockets in a machine. And we all, have to keep turning to make things work. And sometimes there can be a sprocket, something happens, and you have to change things and go on. I think, it was brought out that, all the shared things that happen. Things like the county works with us, the road engineering department, all the things that they do back and forth for us, the prosecutor's office. So we were able to, everybody was discussing all these things at that event. So I know in the whole process of Chief Littleton's accident, is kind of set some things back over what we had scheduled. I know it was talked about in the meeting. People wanted us to have a plan put together. Well, we were working on that plan, but all that didn't happen being that he, was involved in that. Chief Littleton is progressing. He's not totally been released from the doctors yet. He took a pretty hard head hit, and it is being worked on, though, replacing the car. So I just wanted to update with some of them items to kind of bring everybody up to speed as to where we are. So,
How's the person he hit?
HIPAA laws won't really tell us. We're not allowed to find that out, unfortunately. We asked immediately, how, and we can't tell you. So that's, it's an unfortunate thing. We, immediately asked that night. And other than they said that person had some broken bones. Beyond that,
But it was in good condition. Good condition?
they wouldn't even tell us that. So, like I say, that's what they threw back at us, the HIPAA laws, we were not allowed to tell. So, unfortunately, I think that's kind of sad when we have one of our, persons involved in something like that, but we can't find out how the other party that's involved is. It's just, but that's today, our laws and society. So.
Is any citations issued in the accident?
Not that I'm aware of, not that I've heard of.
Yes,
Huh?
yes.
No, I don't know. I haven't been informed of that at this
Can
point.
you elaborate on that?
Yes, what?
I don't know.
Yes, there was a citation given to Chief Littleton, ORC 4511.03, which it's about emergency vehicles and due regard for the safety of other traffic and people on the road. And he admitted guilt, or how they do that, I guess. He admitted guilt, by paying the fine.
And where's your
Going to
information
court.
coming from?
State Municipal Court and Ohio State Patrol.
Do you know what our liability is?
Our liability, well, I don't know, I mean, we got insurance, we got, the attorneys have, or the insurance has attorneys, and, I mean, they handle all that. We pay somewhere $25,000 to $30,000 a year in insurance, I don't know the exact, but, I don't know.
Is the total cost of the car gonna be covered?
No, almost 17,000.
Well, the value of the car,
Yeah,
of
value
what,
of the car.
I think we have a $250 deductible, is that correct?
250 or 500.
Yeah, it's one or the other,
Yeah.
so.
We have 250 on some items and 500 on
Right,
others.
right, yeah, okay, yeah, and I'm not sure which
So since it was new, it was completely covered.
was
It
not.
was
No,
not
no, it's
new.
Not new.
What, how much was it covered?
Almost 17,000.
Was or was not?
They're
Was-
gonna cover 17,000.
Gotcha.
It was not a new cruiser.
Okay.
One of the older ones.
Okay.
So Ms. Burleson knows that the chief was cited and you guys don't know that yet?
Guess not,
Why?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I guess- I guess-
I would think that you guys would be the ones that would be most,
I guess Highway Patrol will contact us and let us know. I mean,
did someone contact you?
No.
Well,
Okay.
why would they contact her? She doesn't even know.
Nobody contacted her.
Did you?
And nobody contacted us?
It was on the news. They stated, Channel 7 stated the chief had been cited.
Never did.
I've never seen that. That's all news to me right now. But I know that very well could be, but I cannot elaborate on the whole situation, but I know there's other things being looked into the whole situation. I do know that there are other things being looked at about the whole situation. So maybe initially he was cited, but I'm not sure that, I don't know. I do know that there's procedures being looked at, so. That's. Okay, I guess with that, we need to go to our minutes.
I move to accept the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting from November 13th.
I'll second it.
Mears,
Yes.
Sims.
Yes.
Price.
Yes.
Okay, payment of bills.
Do residents have any questions on the payment of bills?
No.
Okay. Have a motion to accept the payment of bills?
So moved.
I'll second.
Sim,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
Okay, trustee Sim and I will be attending the auditor's annual update at Sinclair College on Thursday. The new values, rates, and estimates for 19, and preview the 2020 evaluation. I have sent out the mini-flow shared revenue invoice to New Lebanon for a total of $517.59. That is the little strip mall there outside of New Lebanon.
East of New
East,
Lebanon.
yeah. It was annexed into New Lebanon. I don't know what year, it's before my time.
Back in about 2007, maybe. I don't know.
Probably a
exactly.
little bit before that.
Maybe 2005, I don't know, somewhere in that.
So we receive, even though it's been annexed into New Lebanon, we still receive the tax money off that little strip mall. So what I have to do is from the county, I have to get the report listing the dollar amounts, and I need to then invoice New Lebanon. So that's been invoiced.
I'm trying to remember the city manager's name, I can't remember the city manager's name, but came to us, New Lebanon wanted to annex that, because it was the townships. And no, it was long before Marcus, and they said, they would still let us have the tax money off of it if they wanted to annex it. So,
Okay.
that's the situation. That's been, and at one point in time, we were not receiving that, and then they said that we had to invoice them for that,
Right.
so, yeah.
I had my UAN year-end webinar on December 4th. I was credited 6 hours for my continuing education. I do have my year-end packet as well here that, I know we have talked about that before. So here is my year-end packet. It is double-sided, so that's what I'll be starting here soon. Also, I laid up here, if you want to look at the New Lebanon and the City of Brookville Fire and EMS reports that we get every month. I email these to the trustees as soon as I get them. So I brought these up here for residents if you would like to see what the reports look like. Also, from the Board of Election, the electric aggregate, gas, and the police levy, here's the official vote count for each of those. If anybody wants to see the total and things like that. Here is the folder with the payment of bills, if anybody afterwards would like to come up and look at them. Also, in your packet, I jumped around here. I gave you, and I forgot to mention this last time, the cash summary by fund page. The first one in your packet should be from the last trustees meeting to current. The one following that is a year to date. So when you see the revenue line in the last trustees meeting to current, you'll see the $21,619.42. I have printed up here also all the receipts that were entered from last trustees meeting, so you can see if you have more questions on what was that went in the police line, et cetera, general fund, road and bridge. So that'll be up here also for you to review. Also, the 941s for 2019, currently I pay them by the 15th of the following month. Unfortunately, our federal 941s from September of 17 to June of 18, we went over by $536, so now I have to report them semi-weekly after each payroll period. That's over a $50,000 941 payment. Another thing that we clear up here, this is actually the Brookville Star invoices that we get, even though it don't come from the Brookville Star anymore. One thing that you have to do when you pay invoices is to make sure that they're not being sent to the wrong Perry Township. This is the second time through the Brookville Star that we have been invoiced that is not for our township. So again, it's something that you really have to watch. Beckers is another one.
There's 5 Perry Townships, by the way, in Ohio.
State of Ohio. Beckers was another one that we get an invoice for. I made a copy. This was last year's actually. I called the road crew, asked them if they purchased anything. They said no. I made a copy and scanned it to the chief of police. Again, my confirmation, no, none of the officers did get anything. So just kind of like a double check system that you have to kind of go through when the bills come in, make sure they are for our township. Another thing that I kind of want to clear up, because I had some people question me about this. This was in my informational meeting, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but on the resignation letter for Sergeant Wortman, where he puts in there that the chiefs did not receive the budgets. I think it was posted online or on the Facebook, social media. I did present this and I had tables full of invoices. If Chief Reinhardt or Chief Adams did not receive the budget, then how were they able to put these line items on the invoices that they wanted the expenditure to come out of? That's been something that just kind of keeps coming back to me, so I thought I would say it in a public meeting. That they were, and I can bring out all the invoices if you'd like. I've had these 3 tables full of invoices that were signed by the chief of police. Is there any questions about that? Another thing that we're looking at is a new phone system. I have presented to the trustees an estimate for a new phone system. We're not gonna approve that now. That'll be when we work on our budget meetings.
What company is that with?
Hmm?
What company?
It's not a company. It's Dan Blair.
He's just independent.
He used to work for the telephone company. I actually called Dick Baker. Does anybody know him? He worked for the phone company, and he came out and gave us, kind of relayed to us what we needed to do, and gave us Don Blair's phone number. And he does work for a lot of businesses as well. So with that, trustees, when would you like to schedule a work session to work on the budget?
Can we do it all at the year-end thing?
No.
What kind of a timeline are you looking at?
How long will it take for us to work on it, or
Yeah,
what?
How soon do we need to
yeah,
do
How
it?
soon do you think it would be at best?
I have payroll the first week in January. I need to have all our budgets complete and started on the year end and opening the new year before I could even run payroll.
So you'll need it here in December.
Oh, yeah.
Monday, 17th.
I don't know, I'd have to check my schedule and see what's available, but I'm sure the other guys will, can we let you know about that later on? Or do we need to do it right now? Or-
That's fine.
Because my secretary's got all the stuff. She says the 17th will work.
The
Does that work for you,
17th,
Dale?
Is that?
Monday, next Monday.
Yeah, I think so.
9.
Yeah, I think.
What time?
9?
9 a.m. to work, it'll be called a work session. It won't be a trustees meeting. Also, we need to schedule the year-end and reorganization meeting. We have done it on December 31st. We've always done it in the morning. Is that something that you want to do
What days that
different?
fall
Monday.
on? 31st.
Monday.
Monday.
Okay, I wasn't sure. That's,
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
the 31st?
Okay, 9 a.m., okay? Is there any questions about my report from the public? Everybody good? That's all I have.
Okay. All right, road and cemetery.
For our cemeteries, we had to pick up tree limbs from the ice storm in cemeteries and level and dump trash cans. Need to get from that MCTA meeting, there's possibly a grant available, so need to get more information for that as far as what it could be used for. And cemetery mowing's done for the year, done. As far as roads, we've used about 40 tons of salt grit mix to this date. Salt trucks are in good working order, And either December 24th or the morning of the 26th, one ton is going up to get a installation of new salt spreader on it. That's the 02 Chevy. Working in the shop, rearranging for wintertime work, getting our summer stuff put away and get things out where we can do winter work. Cleaned culvert on Steck Road, corn, soybean stubble, that was plugging that big culvert, so we loaded and hauled that away. Then also got a bid here on a mulcher and mini Traco from Murphy's. Like to submit it to trade our old one in and purchase of this one. Show it to you before. But the mulcher is for,
Mulcher or motor?
it's mulcher.
Okay. I was-
And well, mow trim is generic,
Okay.
but mulcher,
Gotcha.
these trees and shrubs and honeysuckles are encroaching the right of ways pretty good, and this will help us be able to maintain that. Be the top 2 pages, Dale. But the difference in the trade-in plus buying the mulch was $31,511.34. Mulcher alone's $14,500.
I said you'd never do it for that. You did it.
And all this is state bid, from the state bid.
One up for Mike.
Yeah, these limbs are getting to be a problem on roadways, especially the honeysuckle and things.
County has done some for us, but I know county's got a lot more miles we have and trying to get them, and I appreciate everything they do for us. But we need to start getting on them and staying on them.
Is this something that could be subcontracted out versus us buying the equipment for?
It could be, but then when do they do it? What kind of job do they do? That's the kind of thing you run into.
We have a Mini now,
We have the Traco now.
and we use that Traco on our issue 2 projects. We sometimes use it in cemetery dig graves, so we do have one now. But trading that one in to upgrade the hydraulics to run this mulcher. It's not like we're buying a whole brand new machine. We've got one now. We're just upgrading for the hydraulics and everything to run this mulcher and buying the mulcher head for it. It's another piece of equipment for us to maintain the roads. As far as contracting it out, I've never seen a company around this area doing it. I know county, like I said, county does it. They've done some work for us, but they can't always stay with us because they got so many miles to go, so we would be able to do this in-house. But in reference,
Well, in
the old Traco, I've been able to run it for $8 an hour, is what it cost us.
the
since we've done it.
cemetery it's almost essential.
Well,
In the
we got the
cemetery.
backhoe, but there's times now we're using a little mini because we gotta stretch over stones.
Try digging a grave in Pleasant Hill Cemetery over the hill when it's
Right.
icy. I've done it.
So-
It's horrible.
But
I
it's
mean,
not,
the Traco's more stable and holds you there. and-
right,
Yeah, it's just,
but, you know, we're upgrading machine with the hydraulics to run this. We already have a machine, but we're trading it in to upgrade to run this newer piece of equipment going on. But I use that machine quite hard in the summertime for ditch work, tile work, and issue 2 projects, which our issue 2 projects run roughly estimated $400,000 a year. So it saves us quite a bit of money and time with that machine.
And what's the price of that again, please?
31,000, 511.34. That's the machine and the mulcher. That's the difference with trade-in.
Well, you need a motion to do that, yes. I so move.
A second.
Sim,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
Did the road crew work any overtime this last month?
Yes, I did. The ice storm, worked all night. So, trying to stay ahead of that ice and for public safety. Matter of fact, you know, like I said, county helps us. They had 2 trucks down that work this area, so we ended up doing a couple of roads for them, which, when I come off Don Mill Road, I gotta go clear south to Sheet and Thornapple, and I did Old Dayton for them. So that's our, I guess, kind of paid back to them for helping us, so.
Well, yeah, it's just like I said, it's the cogs in the machine that makes it all, everybody helps one another. I don't know what night it was, I can't recall the day it was, but the one night it snowed, I mean, my house is close by the road, and I'm able to see, and I contacted Mike about 2:30 that morning and said, Mike, you where the road's getting pretty covered. So.
And we went out 5 that morning.
He went out a little bit later, so that way they got it to, you know, for work traffic, the road's been solid or scraped or whatever it needs for people, you know. They try to go out prior to people traveling to work, so. And then it's the same a lot of times in the evening, so they get home. So.
And it's appreciated. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Zoning, do we have?
That'll be me. Zoning, first quarter trash bills will be mailed in early January 2019. Permit for an application was sent to 1855 Diamond Mill Road. A permit was sent to 240 Sulphur Springs Road. Permits issued, none, new business. Reminder, township offices will be closed December 25th and January 1st. And also, Ms. Christian is asking us to change her work hours. She would like to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday 1 to 5, and Thursday and Friday 9 to 1. So we need a motion.
What were those hours again?
Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday 1 to 5, and Thursday and Friday 9 to 1.
So,
Second.
Price,
yes.
Mears,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes. Do you have anything else under
Kate's, no.
Kate's?
On the police, I know you have something too. Chief Littleton sent me this, equipment upgrades, new camera lens, 1 computer tower for a workstation, new computer tower for cruiser camera storage, some computer upgrade to Windows 10, new in-car cameras. One of the vehicles is back from Yipes and Stripes, hopefully the second one will be back this week. New cruiser, I guess we're looking at it.
Well, it's being looked at, a replacement for the one that
Yeah.
was in the accident.
Yeah,
So there's
one
already-
new officer hired, 4 more are in the hiring process, 3 are in the background phase. And he'd also like to take this time to thank everyone who has checked on his condition after my vehicle accident. It is taking time to heal, however, I'm not down and out. I'm still making phone calls and making sure things get accomplished. I hope to return to duty soon. I ask that you continue to support Perry Township Police Department through this difficult time.
Speaking of that, about the car, I would like to make a motion that we allow him to go forward with, what do I want to call it, obtaining another car, a replacement for that accident one.
Say it again. You want him to do it?
Yeah, we know of one, and as long as he
Yeah.
knows it's what equipment that's needed on it and everything, and I mean, I would like to allow it to move forward, to get that
You know,
damaged with replacement.
there's another option there. We could look at taking the equipment off of the car that was in the accident and using that on the one that we were gonna put on .gov. I think we'll table this right now until we get some more information about it. I don't know what the vehicle is. I haven't talked to him, and it's the first I've heard about it.
Oh.
So I'd like to know more about that. If it would be, if it's more reasonable to go with the one, I believe the car that we have is not wasn't in the accident. Doesn't it have a new engine in it? Is that the one? I'm just a little ignorant on this thing, and I'd like to, I forget, but I think we had 2 new engines put in, and the one car that was in an accident had a new engine. And the one, is that right or not?
No, the one that was in the accident.
Okay, but the other one that we've got, the backup that we were gonna use for zoning, had a new engine in it, is that correct? Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, if we could swap that equipment back onto that car, and it'd be cheaper, I don't know.
It won't fit on
It
that.
won't?
No, because that's a different, we call it Explorer versus Expedition or whatever.
Oh, I
I don't
see.
think
Okay.
I don't think it'll match up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Two different body style cars, I know there, yeah. He has found one on a state bid, is what it, and, which is pretty good, but I think it's one of them things where we kind of need to move on it, that's why.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I thought we probably.
Yeah, if we can't interchange, I didn't
No,
know.
we can't.
If we could,
No.
okay.
So,
Do you know what the cost of it is? Is it the same as the other?
not for sure, but approximately what the others was that we purchased, I believe.
And it's a newer vehicle? or
It's brand new.
Brand new?
So was this car totaled in the accident?
Pardon?
Was
Absolutely.
the car, it
It's
was
totaled.
totaled?
It is totaled.
And has a check from the insurance company been sent to the township to cover the costs of it?
No.
Are they going to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we make a motion to keep this as, or do we have to wait? Do we make a
Pardon?
motion?
Well, that's what I was wanting to do, to get it started, get it to where we could secure that, or obtain a car, I mean, to replace the.
If it's a new car, I'd go along with it.
It's a new car, oh yeah,
I thought this was something
it's at a place
for
that's
sure.
got the state bids on cars, and,
Okay.
and like I said, sometimes they have so many there, and then
Well,
when they're gone, they're gone.
this insurance money would cover about half of it,
Well,
so yeah.
or
let's-
more, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I thought, yeah, I spoke with
Okay,
him.
I rescind that deal about tabling that, I rescind that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the motion to allow him to, and if he needs some help, I'm glad to help him, I mean,
I second the motion.
Sim?
yes.
Price?
Yes.
Mears?
Yes. I think Nelson's.
Yeah, we just working our way.
No, that's okay. I'm strictly here on behalf of Chief Littleton, asked me to fill in. Trustee Mears mentioned that we've hired a person, but we need to make it official. Per the board needs to, we ask that there be a resolution to bring the individual is Justin Dillinger. We ask that the board, he's passed Littleton's background investigation and everything. So Littleton has asked me to put before the board that you guys make a motion to approve the hiring of Justin Dillinger to the.
So moved.
I'll second it.
When is the effective date?
I'll have to touch base with Chief.
Uh,
There's a technicality on swearing him in. He has to be sworn in by the chief. Got kicked back, so as soon as he's sworn in by the chief.
Well, we
Didn't you did that already?
Yeah, it got kicked back from the
did?
state, and so under
Why did it get kicked back?
I don't know the specifics of it.
Okay.
All I know is it got kicked back, and they specified The board swears in the chief, but the chief needs to swear in the remaining officers.
Okay.
And that's as much knowledge as I've been given
Okay.
on the situation.
Yeah, well, yeah, as long as it, yeah, okay.
Full-time
pay-
or part-time?
So the way we're currently written or structured, a person would enter and they go into an FTO program or field training program. During that program, they're supposed to be auxiliary. Upon successful completion of that program, they would then become part-time. And so I so move that that be specified in the
So he's
motion.
not being paid?
Not for field training, unless you guys decide to do differently. That's how our current.
Well, I know we took care of some of the stuff that day,
Right.
I don't know, and that's up to Chief Littleton, whatever he
Okay.
wants to start
It's
the,
just changing
the
now. so I don't
training
know which
versus
direction
the
to go.
actual, yeah,
Okay.
that's, I mean, we'll leave that to his
Sure.
discretion. When he wants to change it from training to pay, or however you wanna say it. Yeah.
Okay, so Price,
Yes.
Sim.
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
So I'm gonna put in the resolution that it's field training, and we can amend that if need be.
Well,
But you could just put in that we're hiring him.
yeah, just put in there we're hiring, and,
Okay.
yeah.
And
You'll
the-
start
the
out with
status-
field training, or.
The status at the discretion of the chief.
Yeah.
And then there's also, the chief would like to make a few uniform changes with the advancement of technology coming out. There's always improvements. And also other policies. The chief would like the discretion, the board to approve that the chief be able to make the policy changes at the discretion based on new and emerging technologies and procedures on, standard procedures on doing things within the law enforcement community.
Such as what?
So there's updates to use of force policies from time to time. And there are, specifically, I mean, he wanted the ability to make the uniform changes as need be. We're looking at possibly load-bearing vests, which takes a lot of the weight off the duty belt for the officers. Helps the health and longevity of the officers be able to perform functions longer in a shift if need be. So that's one of the things. And there was actually an example that was supposed to arrive in the mail, but UPS had to leave a note saying that we'll pick it up at another time. Otherwise, I would have had an example here to show you guys.
Okay, we need a motion, I'll make a motion that we give him the authority to do the upgrades, whatever we need on that's the uniforms and the policy about them and all that.
I second.
It's actually a part of the qualifications and licensing equipment.
Right.
All that, it's already in here.
Yeah, we have the township, the board had approved, excuse me, a written policy that specified the uniforms. And so, by this would allow him to make those changes, since the board approved a written policy.
Okay.
Sim,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
Price.
Yes.
Then I just have a few analytics as far as what's happened so far here in the township. And this would just be strictly related to what the Perry Township officers or police department has handled. We don't have the records for what county has covered in in-between times. But since the last meeting, we've had 7 crashes that Perry Township officers have handled. 4 citations have been written, and as far as the calls for service, we've had 1 domestic dispute. We've taken care of 2 thefts, 2 telephone harassment, telephone communication complaints. There was 1 death of natural causes, and there's 1 driving under the influence, and then we've had 2 people transported to the the hospital for mental evaluation. So alter mental states and other reasons for taking people to the hospital to be evaluated. That concludes the police portion.
And then at this time, I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and advertise for a full-time Perry Township Police Chief. And we'll have Ms. Benton submit that to Brooklyn Star or whoever, and then we'll do the Ohio Police Commission or whatever.
The second one.
Or did you go language?
Mears,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Sim.
Yes. Okay.
One more thing. Last time, at the last meeting, we talked about having our own website. I have contacted a couple of people. The only person that's gotten back to me is a company called Business Design Guys in Lewisburg, and it's $2,200 for them to set up our own webpage. And we can put meetings on there and so on and so forth. I have the information here if anybody wants to read it, so. Maybe that's something that we can talk in the budget meeting. Okay.
Is there anything else? If not, I do want to go into executive session for a legal matter and a real estate matter.
Got a question.
Before the meeting ended last time, you did the same thing. You said you wanted to go into executive session, and, but you never left.
Excuse me just a minute, let me get your file real quick.
We never left.
You stayed in here for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then we left. I don't
You
know where,
left?
we went out and, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, you left for employment and legal. Is
Yes.
there anything that we,
No, there's nothing to inform you about. or
nothing
would-
to inform us
No.
about? Well, I would appreciate it if when you say you're going into executive session, that you actually go and
We
not.
did.
And not wait until the room clears.
We had some other things in here to take care of
Because you have
first.
to come back, you have to come back.
Yes, and we did.
You have to come back.
Yes, and we did.
They did.
We did.
I was here.
I don't know where you were at, but
Well, I
we
was
had
gone.
we had some people
And I
had,
think a lot of people were gone.
we had some people had some questions before we could get out of the room, and we were trying to answer their questions. So is that wrong?
No, you could have stayed, that's where it
Yeah,
was.
I mean,
I was one of those people. I asked Dale a question, and that
there was
is
a
why
lot of
they
people
probably
asked
did not
questions that we were
leave
trying to
or
address.
soon enough.
Well, that's no big deal. It just didn't show up on the DVD. It's just a misunderstanding. Move along.
Yeah. Why don't we
It
come back
was
to
interesting at all.
the peanut gallery?
All we did was come back in the room and say we adjourned. So, yeah.
I had a question on the posting of the job opening for police
Yes.
chief. That would be taken care of before the next meeting, the next 30 days?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it was promised that this last 30 days, my understanding. That was-
We haven't had a meeting since the last.
You mean like the
No,
hiring
at-
of the?
Yes,
permit-
at the last meeting,
Public posting. for the
Yes.
job.
Well, that was, yeah, with
And we had a
Littleton
chief had an
getting in the
accident.
and everything else.
What's
we
that got
had.
to do with
Yeah.
posting it?
Because he was helping put together what we wanted to put in that posting, and it was being worked on, and
It will.
actually, Miss Mears and him went back and forth on, she put it all together, what we
I
were
went
gonna
back
post.
with what Deputy Strike, some of the things that he gave us and the ones that we have used in the past. So that's where this
So by the
information
next
came
meeting,
from.
we'll have, that'll be posted somewhere.
Yes.
Say it again?
Do we know where that's going to be posted yet?
We will put it in the Brookville Star and what is it, the Ohio Police?
There's
Ohio
a
Police
police
something, yeah.
websites.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one he wants to use, but there's several that we can use that are linked to the FOP and elsewhere.
Where we posted it before. And we do have several people, what, 3 or 4?
We've got a couple
Yeah.
that submitted without even posting it.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, I just have a statement. It's very concerning to me that members of the public knew that the chief had been cited and you are his boss and none of you knew. It concerns
That
me that.
disturbs me.
Okay, was he not asked? Did you not ask him if he was cited?
No, because I thought, I personally didn't think that it was to that point yet. I thought they were still investigating, as far as I knew. Ohio State Patrol, the last I talked to them, it was still under investigation.
Yeah, but
And that kind of surprises me.
they have taken modules off his car and everything else, and they're doing all that stuff, so.
And there's things coming off the other individuals' cars too that's being looked at, so, which, we can't elaborate too
Is it
far on
still
all
under
that.
investigation?
Yes.
One of the things that I heard was, initially, they said he didn't have his siren on, and it came back that he did have his siren.
I heard that he had his siren on, but not his lights.
Well, I heard both ways, but the truth is, I can't believe what Channel 7, Channel 2, anybody
Yeah,
says anymore.
no, and that's, but it's,
and-
my point is that, don't rely on the news. You know, it's, if you are his employer, then it is of utmost importance that you know how this investigation is going, and if there perhaps should be some kind of, I hate to say the word punishment, but if he was cited, there should be
Well, there's no
some
reprimand in order
ramifications.
here, it's an accident, it's a reprimand, you can't reprimand somebody for an accident. He was doing his job, and we understand that.
You know, he was responding back out this way, and you know, if somebody was out there
Yes, I
threatening my
understand.
family or what, I'd be glad that he was hurrying out this way,
But
you know?
We understand it's a
what the
burglary
concern
trial.
is he admitted guilt when he was cited by paying, I mean, it says so right there on the Ohio State Patrol's website and Dayton Municipal Court. It was an admission of guilt for, you know, failure to execute due regard to public safety.
I don't know.
Well, is there, I mean, is there a written, you guys have a written
Okay.
policy?
If all
for-
of us knew what the.
No, listen.
What
Do
difference
you
would it
have
make?
a written policy, you know, like
No.
for investigating officers?
No, not that I know of, we don't.
Well, yeah, if you're in an accident, like if you go out right now and wreck and we're gonna test him for drugs and alcohol, I mean, that's
They
one
did
of our
that,
and that was
policies.
questioned
And they
right
did
away.
do that, they immediately did that, yes, there are some policies, so.
There are some policies in,
I mean, that was,
We're
that
right
was
now,
brought up at
but-
the hospital that
Yeah.
night when I was there,
Yeah,
immediately. I mean,
I think that's routine, isn't it? I would think
Officer Nelson, is that routine,
What's that?
that you're drug tested?
I'd like
Yes,
to make a
it's,
comment.
it's part of the policy.
Sure. Twice, I can't tell you which cars, but twice I've seen Perry Township police cars running with their lights and siren on. And the sirens that you guys have on those cars are pretty puny. There's no, I don't think there's enough dB output. I watched one coming towards me on 35 here just this past month, and he's coming toward me, and I pulled over to the right side of the road, and I had the window down, and he's coming, and he's coming, and he's coming, and finally he got clear up next to me before I could actually hear the siren. Now, I realize I wear hearing aids, and I realize that maybe my hearing isn't as good as some, but I also had one back in the summer go past our house with a siren, or past Sulphur Springs with a siren on, and I made a comment to my wife. I said, shoot, I said, when I was a volunteer fireman, my siren was louder than that.
is there a couple sirens on them cars? A couple different ones?
I'm sure
Depends
there's a
on the
decibel
vehicle.
level.
Because over the years, different pieces, different types of equipment and the
Because
technology.
I thought, I thought they seemed pretty loud myself. Because
The different
I would
vehicles have
say that.
different ones based on what was installed on that vehicle,
Is
you know,
it-
at the
Well,
time.
the
does it depend which direction of the car you're at?
Of course it does,
I
sure.
mean, I guess, I don't
The
know.
size of the speaker.
Because I've heard them from a long ways off and thought, where's this siren? And I've been, but I'm not saying you
If you're
know,
sitting in traffic and they're coming.
right,
you
well,
should hear
yeah.
them.
I'm-
You know where the little shopping center is there on the east side of
Yeah.
211 that you were just talking about?
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was at, and he got clear up next to me before I actually could hear the siren. Oh, jeez.
Is it, well, maybe it's something we need to look at or see about having.
Well, I'm sure that
Different directions.
the new cars are gonna have a higher decibel level than the siren, I'm sure, because everything's been upgraded.
Well, I know they got that, I don't even know what they call it, the second sound.
Yeah.
It's not a siren, it's like a buzz or.
Air horn.
We have the air horn, and we have different tones that we can adjust the siren on, based on, you know, the traffic. When you come up to an intersection, you want to change the tone, because otherwise people tend to tune you out. And so you want to give them a different tone so that they can realize and be able to pinpoint where the sound is coming from.
Well, I'll just ask this while we got the people here, has anybody noticed visibility? Because several years back, that was brought to my attention, the visibility, like approaching a car from behind, I think it was, they thought it was terrible. And we did upgrade on some of that. Now, if that's a problem,
Now, on the new,
I'd like to know, so we can.
I know exactly what's going on there, because I was instrumental in having it laid out to where we had big visibility from every angle. You've got flashing lights beside the license plates. We've got a light bar in the back window. We've got a top light bar also. So I'm sure that these new cruisers are going to be laid out with a much better warning system than what the other cruisers had. I'm sure of that. And whether it's a difference in decibels as far as the sound of the siren, I don't know, but I do know they have different, what'd you call it?
The tone?
Yeah, the tones, the different tones.
They have different tones, but
Like
that
a Yelp thing.
doesn't change the output of the speaker.
Right. Well, maybe there needs to be one front and back or something.
No.
No?
No, you just.
I don't know.
No, you need one out front, but it needs to put out enough noise that you actually can.
And because they were older,
Yeah,
units, it may be because, maybe they were less
maybe
than
it
what the
needs
new
to
ones are,
be-
but the new ones I know are gonna be 100%.
Maybe that's where
Do the new ones
maybe
have
that's
more
why,
than one siren?
maybe that's why they didn't think he had a siren on.
I'm sorry, Donnie, what'd you say?
Do the new ones have more than one siren? You know, the old ones only have one?
No.
Okay.
Just one side.
And that's pretty standard,
Is it?
yeah.
well, yeah, if there's something like that needs to be looked at, we need to know about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But we don't have to worry about that one.
well, that one, so,
I've got another question, Mr. Chairman.
okay.
On October 25th of this year, I made a request for public information. After more than 45 days, neither my request nor any explanation of delay or denial has been received. The Ohio Revised Code states that responses to requests for public records must be made promptly. To quote, these responses must be made, quote, without delay and, quote, with reasonable speed. And I just wondered what the reason is that my request for public information hasn't been fulfilled.
I'm not sure what your,
It says right here, because it was sent down to Nathaniel, the prosecutor, and he just emailed it to me today.
Oh, so you just got it today after
I
45 days?
got it today, and I can show you the email, yes.
hey, there was some public records the township asked for that took, how long?
Gosh.
5 months?
Well, for one thing, we had that voter registration fraud thing going on, which you should know a lot about that. You were named in
Yeah.
that. And I don't know.
Took months
until
to
Why
get
just
haven't I
right
seen
now.
that?
I don't know.
was named in it.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, you were named in
You were
that.
named in it, I have no
Then
idea.
I will ask for public records on that too.
We don't
I
have
got
it,
it
we
from
don't,
the
even got an
request.
order.
5 months to get it.
you have to ask the sheriff's department
But you
about
have
that.
it now.
No,
It was an ongoing
yeah.
investigation.
No.
I would like that.
no, it's her personal, not, it's a
Request
My
it.
personal.
it's not township. You have,
Okay, fine.
it's a sheriff thing you have to ask about, not, it's
Okay.
not the township.
Well, I thought
It
maybe
takes
you might
months.
know more about that since you were named in that investigation
I
than what
have
we
no
did.
idea about
Well,
it. Nobody has ever
See?
contacted me about it for any reason.
right.
That's the way we were in this, some of this stuff too, we're not contacted and we don't know. So,
I thought there was a statement in there from.
Yeah, I think you made a statement to someone.
Right.
Sheriff deputy,
He
absolutely.
came, yeah, he came around and asked a bunch of people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not a bunch, there were particular people, I ran for office who wasn't even contacted, Dale wasn't contacted. Because, I guess they know that we're not fraudulent, I don't know.
Can we elaborate on this? Cause like, I'm not privy to this. What's the,
There was an ongoing investigation by the Board of Elections over the last election we had.
right,
And it was about voter fraud. And it was about people being in the wrong place at the right time. Too close, within 100 feet of voting places and what have you. And we never really got a lot of information on that. One of the trustees that was part of that resigned her seat. So I don't really know exactly what it was. And have we gotten any more information, Rhonda,
Not
about?
any. No.
And it's an ongoing investigation. We have no idea what's going on. We have put in, we want to get public records.
The township didn't know if we had anything that we were in a problem about or not. We couldn't get the information.
And we had the public information.
Finally,
request in also.
Miss Bankin got something a few days after the election this year on her own personal request. So,
So it's the Board of Elections. There's a no-no in there somewhere. We don't know what it is. But there were things like, somebody painted signs, somebody did this, somebody did that. There's a whole lot of things that went on there. And I thought maybe you knew more about it because you were named it.
I think you do know more about it because you even named it in a meeting here. You talked about that I supposedly had an illegal sign at my house. So I think you do know
If you got
something
an illegal
about it.
sign or not, I
You
knew
quoted
you had a
that.
vote no sign in your yard.
You quoted that I had an illegal
Oh, I
sign.
did?
Yes, you
Okay,
did.
well, then.
It's on a
then maybe
tape.
it was illegal.
Well,
maybe your
no, they
signs were
determined they
illegal.
weren't. In the,
Well, the Board of Elections said they were.
no, the Board of Elections said they were not.
Oh, okay.
They
This is
determined
a
that in
vote
this
of fraud.
investigation.
One of us is wrong.
Yeah, well, the Board of Elections put out their report and the investigation said they were not.
They were not registered with the Board of Elections.
Didn't have to be. Don't have to be.
Okay.
A sign does not have to be if they're paid for by an individual, and any individual wants to give
That's
someone.
over with. We have a levy now.
Right, that's correct. But
Well, we've
it-
also
it
got
was-
an ongoing investigation, so.
Yeah, it was an investigation, so. it
And
was-
it's unfortunate. We can't find out what's going on there. We don't know. And, all we know is there's some kind of a sticky wicket going on that we can't find out about. So.
And that's what we were told, well, a prompt, you have to produce the records promptly. Well, what's promptly? Is a year promptly? Is 2 years promptly? Is a week promptly? Nobody will give you that
When you're
answer.
dealing with bureaucrats, nobody knows what prompt is.
Nobody knows what prompt is. Yeah, that's in the revised code that they'll be handed out promptly, but nobody will define what promptly is. So, okay, well. Like I said, had a motion on the floor.
Oh, I second.
That's it.
Sims,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
Price.
Yes.
Go in the other room, not wait.
This
Yeah,
came
don't
from the
talk to anybody.
prosecutor. You can't.
Go in the other room. You are.
When Chris D'Amico requested my calendars, and there was
Right.
personal phone numbers on there and addresses.
Oh, right.
It could come.
Yeah, the newspaper were on that thing too.
A lot.
Do I go?
Sure. Yeah. You're the money person.
Okay.
We're not money.
Know what it's about.
Mr. Freshour, I'll leave this up here for you to pick up.
Yeah, you can call.
I need a copy of your
Go back into regular session, I guess. So move. Let's go back into regular session.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Sim?
Yes.
Mears?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Mears?
Yes.
Sim?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Wait a minute, that's one of my favorites.